You're probably wondering why I'm huffing and puffing on camera. Well, it's to make a point, and that is that our health is one of the most important aspects of our preparedness efforts. So today, let's get real about it. Hey, Provident Preppers, I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Kylene. And today I am thrilled because we have Karen Morris back with us. Now, if you remember, Karen's done several videos with us, and she is an author, and she has written some fabulous books. We have A Year Without a Grocery Store, which was fabulous. Mom on the Run, Adaptive Prepping. See, she's contributing to my library. And then one that I really like is this one, and it's the Prepper's Printable binder. And it's the really cool thing about it is that it helps you organize all of your documents that you need so that you've got them ready to go if there's an emergency. So I'm super excited to have Karen back. But, you know, today we're going to talk about something a bit different, because a lot of times when we think about prepping, we think about food storage or gear or different skills that you need to have. But sometimes we're missing something really important, and that is our health. Back in December, Karen received a diagnosis that completely changed her life, and we're going to talk about that. So Karen, why don't you reintroduce yourself to our audience? Let's talk about what you're doing and what's happening in your life.
Hi, everybody. I am Karen Morris. I am the author of A Year Without the Grocery Store and Mom on the Run and the Year Without the Grocery Store's companion workbook and adaptive prepping and all of that. But one of the really, really cool things that I have been working on lately is my first fiction book. So here in the next 6 months or so, I have a fiction book that will be coming out. It's dystopian, so I'm looking forward to that very much. But in the midst of all of this, life has been busy. I am teaching once again. So this year I am teaching grammar to 7th and 8th grade, to 11th and 12th grade. I am teaching Algebra 2 this year, which is a new adventure for me. And then I'm also teaching career preparedness at our high school. So lots of different things going on in my life right now as we speak.
That is so cool.
Wow.
So tell us what happened in December.
I started noticing some weird things probably November-ish. I started noticing that I was getting thirsty after some meals, not every meal, but some meals. I started noticing itchy patches on my skin, which I hadn't had before. And then I started having some problems with my eyesight. And I really thought that it had to do with that, the change of life. So I was thinking, okay, but it doesn't hurt to go talk to my doctor and see what my doctor thinks. So I went in and he's like, we should check your blood sugar, Karen. And I was like, okay, let's check my blood sugar. And I thought I had had a really good morning. I had had what I thought was low carb for lunch. And I thought, oh, you know what? This is going to be not a problem. So he took my blood sugar after that, and it was 340. Yeah, exactly. And if you know anything about blood sugar, that is out the roof. So immediately we sat down. He's like, okay, I'm ordering a whole bunch of tests and I want them done in just a couple of days. And this was right around Christmas time. So I go in, I had a whole battery of tests run. And when I came back and we sat down and talked together, my A1C, now normal is, I think they say now it's up to 5.7. They call normal. My A1C was 11.7. Oh. So double normal. I had a lot of my other values were completely outside of norms, as you can imagine. And so I realized things had to change, and they had to change drastically, and they had to change fast. A lot of things did change in my life very, very quickly. And we'll talk about what those things are and how that affects and interacts with prepping. With that, one of the first things I did is I said, okay, I have done low carb before. And part of the thing that was very discouraging to me is I have done so many different things and none of them had moved the needle for my weight loss. They just didn't. I had done low carb, probably for 6 months at least at a time, and it didn't move the needle for me. I had walked, there were a couple of months where I was walking 50 miles a month on the treadmill, and it didn't move the needle for me. I had never done weightlifting before, so that's been a new one for me. But I've done all of these other little things, but nothing worked. So I decided, okay, first thing I have to do is I have to go low carb. if my blood sugar is that high, I have to go low carb. So my doctor told me he wanted to start me on a couple of medicines. So the first medicine he wanted to start me on is tirzepatide. And tirzepatide works, it's a GLP-1, and it does help with your hunger. So one of the cool things is I don't walk around going, I'm hungry all the time. There are still times I do. And we have that conversation. Do we need to up my medicine or do we keep it where it is? But at the same time, I'm also learning hunger is not a bad thing, which is not something I necessarily paid attention to before. So it's a conversation we have off and on from time to time. But I'm getting to the point where I know there will come a day when I go off of this medicine and I have to learn to deal with hunger. So now having 2 or 3 times a week where I go, I'm kind of hungry. And then deciding, okay, have I eaten enough to sustain me? Or am I really hungry? Is there really something going on there? And it makes me stop and it makes me think about it. And then I have to make a decision. So before it was like I was hungry, I ate. But now because I'm more conscious of it, there's a lot of, okay, what's really going on here? Am I really hungry? Do I really need food? Am I thirsty? That's another really big one. And it gets disguised as hunger a lot of times. And how do I move forward? So that's something that I have been learning to live with the tirzepatide, but that's been very helpful. Some people say that it takes away the food noise, and it really, really has helped take away the food noise. I'm on one other medicine, and that is metformin. And the interesting thing is my doctor started me off on 500 milligrams a day, and he thought he was going to have to up me little by little up to 2,000 milligrams a day. Well, because everything changed so drastically, so quickly, I never went above 500 milligrams a day. He has kept me on that. But one other thing I want to jump back to tirzepatide about is that one of the things that you need to be really, really careful with on GLP-1s, if you ever decide to do this, is it's not a question of if, you will lose muscle as well. And you need to be aware of that. So even with me, I go to the gym now 3 times a week, and I work out for usually between an hour and a half and 2 hours. That's the average. So I do that, but I'm doing it with, I have a trainer. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit later about how you take one step at a time and you let the Lord open the next door for you. But one of the really cool things was I didn't think I was going to be able to do a trainer. I asked a friend who does weightlifting and I said, hey, can you give me tips? And the response that I got was, no, not until you go get at least 2 sessions with a trainer because I don't want you to hurt yourself. Well, I went and got 2 sessions with a trainer and I loved it. I couldn't believe how much I loved it. And that friend, for several months, paid the $300 a month for me to get a trainer.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
It really was. And it's not something I asked for, not something I looked for. But in with all that, I want you to know that I'm working out a lot every week. Over the last 3 weeks, not months, over the last 3 weeks, because my doctor has a special, it's called an in-body scan. So it tells me how much fat I've lost, how much muscle I've lost, where my water weight is, all of that. I lost 2.5 pounds of muscle in 3 weeks. Okay. Now it's a conversation that my doctor and I keep having because it's like, okay, so do we need to drop my medicine because I'm losing too much muscle? So we keep do I need to raise it? Do we need to drop it? I see him every week because, all right, I'm a wuss. I won't give myself a shot. I go in and he gives me my shot every week. But that also means I get to have a conversation with him every week. It's a great conversation and we can talk through those nuances of what is going on. But right now I am still on both of those medicines. I'm on the tirzepatide and I'm not at max dose. I'm at 3/4 of max dose. So I'm not even as high as I can go. And then with the metformin, I'm still on a fairly low dose, only taking it one 500 milligram pill once a day. My blood sugars have been great. My last A1C just about the end of June was 5.1.
Okay. So how much weight have you lost now?
94.6 pounds.
Oh, girl, that is awesome. I am so proud of you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's my doctor's scale because my scale, it's like, you know how that goes. But this way I can point to my doctor's scale and he has the results right there. 94.6 pounds.
Oh, that is so cool.
That's wild.
it's kind of this trade-off, right? Because it's really important for us to be healthy, because if we enter into any type of crisis, and like with the numbers that you had with your diabetes, that's a death sentence. That's really, really bad. And we can't, like, if we can't walk, if we can't move, if we can't lift stuff, if we can't do all this, nothing else matters. So, taking these other medications, you kind of had to look at it and say, okay, what's worse, right? I've got to get healthy. And if you get healthy, you can get off all of them. Like,
I'm already off my blood pressure meds. I was on blood pressure meds for a very long time. I'm off all of my blood pressure meds completely. And my last blood pressure rating that I took at home was 120 over 66 or 64. And that's off of all of my meds.
we really love that, because
Yeah.
during a crisis situation, meds might not be available, right? And you just look at all of this and think, okay, what do I do? Do I try and stockpile the meds and the insulin and all of this, and the equipment that you need, right? Or do I make huge sacrifices and get myself into a healthy state? And that's the better choice. But for so many of us, it's a hard.
It's so
hard.
hard. It really, really is. But one of the things I want to let you know is it doesn't happen all at once, and it doesn't have to. And I know when I teach food storage, oftentimes we start talking about the things that people want to get, and they look at me and they're like, I have no place to put that. And I say, you know what? That's totally fine. Start with one little place. Like for us, we had literally a single cabinet hanging out in our garage. That was it. It was already there. And so you know what? I started putting extra canned goods in that single cabinet. And then when I filled that up, I was like, oh, where else can I go? Oh, you know what? We have this stretch outside of our garage door where I can put things like paper towels, toilet paper, other things like that. We can put stuff out there. Yeah, not a problem. We can do that. And then once I filled that, I was like, you know what? My closet has 2 rows of, there's plastic, those metal plastic covered, places where you can hang your clothes. Mm-hmm. Well, I was like, you know what? I've got 2 rows of that. I can put stuff above the top one. And even between the 2 rows, there's stuff that I can put between there. I can do that. And it just kept evolving in our first house until the point where we put 5 kids in 1 bedroom and we had a storage room. And the interesting thing was my kids didn't get upset about that. My one daughter has told me since many times, Mom, I'm so glad you did that because I felt like I was taken care of. You take it one step at a time. So when I started this whole journey back at the very end of December, very beginning of January, I was like, okay, low carb. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to do low carb. And every meal that I eat is focused around protein. Every single meal. So that protein might be, I love, Sam's has a Members Mark ahi tuna steak. And they come in a bag. They're in the frozen section. I love, love, love them. They are they're like no carb, very low fat. They're just delicious. I love their ahi tuna. So that's one of the things that I do a lot of. I also do a lot of chicken breasts. So once a week, usually we have a grilled type of meal, and Steve will go out. Lord love him, he'll take 2 hours and grill up all of my meat for the entire week because he loves me, and so he'll grill up the ahi tuna. If we're having hamburgers, he'll grill up the hamburger patties, and we'll have extras of those so that I can have those during the week. He will grill up my chicken breasts for me. And salmon, I've done a lot of salmon, anything like that. He'll grill up a whole week's worth. And I put them, or he puts them, one of us, we have these glass like Tupperware containers, and we'll put it in there. And then I've got literally, it's like a third of the fridge is just stacked like meat. And every day I just grab something out of there. Now, sometimes I get really tired of just tuna steak or just chicken breast. And so I found a low carb chicken fingers that I can have. I think they're called Just Bear or something like that, chicken fingers. And so they're fairly low carb, not low carb or not no carb, but fairly low carb. And I can have those from time to time. I have found a chip. It is their Quest protein chips. I adore the chili lime. I mean, I absolutely adore it. But you know what? It's like, I think 2 grams of carbs for the entire bag. And I mean, they're regular size single serves, 2 grams of carbs, like 3.5 grams of fat, and like 17 grams of protein for that bag of chips. It makes it easier. I found no carb tortillas, so I will do wraps. I'll go ahead and do roast beef and turkey and a piece of cheese with some spicy mustard, and I roll it up and I put 2 of those in one of my glass containers, and I'll do several sets of those so that I have them for lunches. Because when I'm teaching, literally, it's just like it has to be there already done for me, or it's not going to happen. So I take one day a week and I go in and I do all these little things. And I can have baked sweet potatoes. I've found out they're not as good for me as I thought, but they are still good for me. And so I will do that from time to time. Once or twice a week, I do a baked sweet potato. I don't do baked potatoes anymore, regular baked potatoes, but I will do a baked sweet potato with cinnamon. No sugar, but just a little bit of cinnamon. I love it. I absolutely love it. And my blood sugar, like I say, my last A1C was 5.1, so it's not like it was high. So I know my body can tolerate that well. I've tried rice and my body tolerates that well. But it's the kind of thing where you have to figure out what your body tolerates if you're going, if you have diabetes and if you're possibly moving that direction. So just figure out what you can do. My doctor tells me to experiment like once a week. And not always every week. I would say 2 to 3 times a month. I go out with my mom and my sister and we'll go out to eat somewhere where normally I wouldn't because it's not good for me. There's a pizza place that we really like to go, and I get I think it's 8-inch pizza. So it's like this big, and I only have 3 pieces because I can't eat all of it because the tirzepatide has shrunk what I can eat in my stomach. So, but I'll have 3 pieces like that. My blood sugar doesn't go above 140, but I eat good almost all of the time. And I work out. I walk every day. Now, I am currently wearing a knee brace because my knee decided it was going to hiccup on me. So I won't be walking tomorrow, but like this summer, since I've been out of school at the end of May, there have only been 2 days that I haven't walked at all. I mean, like gone on a walk, not just walked around the house, but haven't gone on a walk. Only 2 days. And I was on vacation for 10. I went and I walked. So, it's just, you got to figure out how your body responds. Like my fasting blood sugar is almost always slightly high now. And now when I say high, let me explain. High, 104, they say you should be under 100. Mine goes up to 106 sometimes. But, again, conversation I have with my doctor, what's my body doing? My body probably has still extra cortisol in it. It was 140 when I started. Every morning it was 140, no matter what I ate. But then, walking, weightlifting, other things. And, now it's usually below 106. But, what is your body doing and how do you figure out what's going on?
I want to know how you're dealing with your family and the different diets. Are they eating the same? How do you do that?
Right now, currently, I have 2 children in the home. One is 14, so he'll be here for a while. One is 19, and he may not be here for very long. We're still trying to work out details with him. So we try to eat together several times a week. So we have a Mexican meal that we all love. And so we can make that up. We call it Mexicali pie. So my doctor told me that there's a grain called fika that I can use. It's FEEKAH, which is supposed to be better for you than using rice. So I substituted 1 for 1, the fika for the rice. And it's got meat and it's got black beans and it's got cheese and I use almond milk and eggs. And taco seasoning. So you mix it all up, you let it cook in the crock pot all day. And then we'll eat on that. And I measure mine out because I know exactly how much I can have and exactly how many calories it is. But then I'll measure mine out. And then whatever they don't eat, if we don't make it into enchiladas, which is oftentimes we do, we just take that another day, roll it into enchiladas, put queso over the top of it, and they eat it. I don't eat that. But, we do things like that where we can both eat hamburgers, brats. Great example, Saturday nights, we always get pizza from Little Caesars. I don't eat it. I don't eat it. So I will go to the fridge and I'll grab out some of my stuff and I'll microwave it and I'll sit there with them. And we usually watch either a movie or an episode of something. And, but that's how I deal with it. I always have food. That's the thing. I always have food in the fridge. There's never a time when I don't have food in the fridge because if there is, I will eat whatever is there. So I've learned for me, there just has to be food. And that might mean I'm doing up a whole bag of chicken tenders, and that's okay. Oftentimes I'll take that one evening and I'll do up a bag of chicken tenders. I'll do several of the sweet potatoes so they're all ready. I will do I'll cook up mushrooms because I love mushrooms and they're very low carb. I'm very picky. I'm a very picky eater. So don't say you can't do this if you're a picky eater. I'm very, I'll eat, but you know what? I won't eat lettuce. I'll eat leafy greens, but I won't eat iceberg lettuce. I won't eat tomatoes. I won't eat cucumbers. I won't eat radish. I mean, you name the vegetable, unless it's got carbs in it, normally I don't like it. So even I am figuring this out with my picky eating. But I've learned I have to have food in the fridge that I can just grab and microwave and be done with.
Yeah.
And that has saved me so much.
So have you changed your approach to your food storage? Because if you do all this work and then something happens and you are back to eating pasta and rice and beans, that could undo everything and put you back in the situation where you started.
It absolutely could.
Are you changing anything?
Yes and no. We have always stored a lot of meat. That has been our main thing that we've stored because we can't grow meat. And because we've often lived in places where we couldn't keep chickens, or we don't have enough land for goats or for cows or anything like that. So because of that, we have always stored an awful lot of meat. So we have that. So I would say if it's 6 months or less, I'm not worried. If we go beyond 6 months, then yeah, we're going to have to figure some things out. But if I have meat and I have seeds to grow lettuce, because I will do the leafy greens. So we can do lettuce. We can grow sweet potatoes from slips. That's not a problem. I could grow sweet potatoes. The other thing that we have a lot of is cheese, like freeze-dried cheese. I mean, tons of freeze-dried cheese. So I know that if I'm being careful with my rice, because I can't have rice, if I'm being careful with my rice, not using too much of it, putting my fats with it, because that really, really helps when you put your fats and your protein with your rice, it will slow the uptake of blood sugar, of the sugar to your blood. So it keeps it more level. So I'm not overly worried because I know what we have. And I know that it won't be hard for me to go out and to be able to plant lettuces that I will eat. I can do radishes if I had to. And I also, because I did Trim Healthy Mama a long time ago, and I learned how to eat radishes as potatoes. Yeah, they're not, and they don't taste like it, but I can do it. But it's lower glycemic. I could do that if I had to. So there are things that I could do. Plus, the other thing you have to take into consideration is if something big does happen, I'm going to be so stinking busy moving that takes care of a lot of blood sugar issues. So you've got both sides to that.
So tell me the difference in your energy level.
None. I've always been high energy. I have always been high energy. So there's no difference in my energy level. But I know other people, it makes a big difference. So, that's not been a thing for me. One of the things that I've noticed is when my knee's not bothering me, I sleep better. So that's a big thing. So that's been helpful. But as far as just energy goes, there's not a whole lot that has changed for me in that. So let's talk a little bit about how I added things in, because like I said, I didn't just go from doing nothing to doing all of it all at the same time. That's a principle that works across so many different areas of preparedness. So let's start with, I started with my food. That's where I started. I started with my food. I knew I had to go low carb, and I did that right away. And then I was like, okay, how can I add movement? That was my first thought. How can I add movement? It wasn't even like, can I go walking? It was, how can I add movement? And how can I do it sustainably? So at that point last year, I had 2 periods every day that I didn't teach, and some days 3 periods, depending on how things worked. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go walk 1/3 of a mile around our gym every period I don't teach. So that's how I started. And then I'd go back to my classroom and I'd work on whatever I needed to work on for my next class. But I did that. And so it got to the point where I was walking 1 mile every day. Because if I didn't get that 3rd period, then I would try to do it like right after school or maybe during lunch or something else like that, where I was getting in that extra walk, that extra, 1/3 of a mile. So it's like, okay, that's pretty good. And then I have always enjoyed Instagram, and I started seeing things on there about how bedtime and how sleep actually will affect whether or not you can lose weight. And that got really uncomfortable because I am a night owl, and I would rather go to bed at 2 a.m. and get up as close to when I have to be at school as possible. I really became convicted. And so I was like, okay, how can I make this work for me? I can't just say I'm going to just punch my way through, because that's not sustainable. How can I make it work for me? I was like, okay, if I set an alarm for 10:30 every night, which is so early for me. So if I set an alarm for 10:30 and I'm like, okay, I give myself 30 minutes to wrap up what I'm doing, because I'm always on my computer, go downstairs, brush my teeth, get ready for bed, all of that, and my goal was to get in bed by 11 o'clock. That's my goal, is to be in bed by 11 o'clock. So my next goal, which was associated with that, was I want to be up by 6. That was pulling teeth for a while, to be up by 6, because I was up, I put on workout clothes, and I was at the door for a mile walk every morning. And that started about March-ish. So keeping timetables in mind, this all happened at the end of December, beginning of January. Started eating well. And then I started walking at school. And then I started this other walking in the mornings about March. In the midst of all of that, I talked to you about my friend. I was like, okay, I had heard that you can lose muscle on tirzepatide. So I was like, okay, talking to him about lifting weights. And that was when he was like, no, I'm not going to do that until you go get a trainer. So AJ is one of the best things that ever happened to me. He is absolutely amazing. So I came in and I did my 2 sessions with him, and I was like, this is awesome. Honestly, I think a lot of my weight loss has to do with AJ. The way he structures it is I go in on Mondays and we do chest and triceps. And then I go in on Tuesdays and we do back and biceps. And then I go in on Thursdays and we do legs and shoulders. And so that way I'm not working any one muscle group more than once in a week. That way your muscles have a chance to recover, because you need that in order to go back in the next week. When I started, there were things I just could not do. There's still some things I cannot do, but we're working on it. But there were things that I could not do. Like I used to do where I would lay on my back and I would bicycle in the air, because that helps your abs. And we do abs. We do one ab exercise every day. So I would do that. And then he's like, okay, the next thing I want you to do is, we call them laying scissor kicks. So I lay down on one of those workout benches, and then I just raise and lower my legs. He said, we're going to go for 30, but if that's not enough, then you can go for 40. I think I got 18 my first time. 18. You know what? The last time I did it, I got 50. But it's because I'm in there all the time doing it. And I know not everybody can afford a trainer, but like the really cool thing is, like AJ has told me, and I have seen him, he's like, you know what? I will train anybody. I might say, hey, can you come over to my house and help me with some of these things? And we'll just call it a swap. And he will do that for people. So if you find the right person, even if you don't have a ton of money, you can find another way to work it. And AJ has just been absolutely amazing. I work out. So AJ's my trainer, but I have a workout buddy now, and her name is Dawn. And she has lost 190 pounds. Wow. 190 pounds using AJ. Using AJ. And now she and I work out together, and it's so cool because she's down to a size 4, and she started out about the same size I started out. Yeah. Wow. And she's down to a size 4. But AJ knows how to do it. So if you find a trainer that knows how to do things, and like, he's like, the moment something feels wrong, you tell me, because I have issues with my left shoulder. So there are times when I'm doing a hammer curl, and he'll be like, and I'll be like, oh, and he's like, nope, we're stopping right there. We're stopping. We're going to go stretch it out. We're not going to do any more at that weight today. And sometimes we'll come back and we'll do a little bit less. And sometimes he's like, no, we're not doing anything else. So he knows really well. And even yesterday, because my knee started bothering me a few days ago, one of those stupid things, literally I turned to push off and my knee was like, don't like that. So I went in and saw my doctor yesterday for my weekly checkup. And he's like, okay, so I want you can work out, but be very, very careful. And I don't want you putting a lot of pressure on that leg or on that knee. And so I went in and I was like, okay, AJ, Dr. Kalish said, I can't put a lot of pressure on my knee. What can I do? Because it was legs day, kind of hard not to work, work your legs and not work your knees. And so he's like, okay, I got a couple. And he took me around to a couple of different things. And so having a trainer really is a blessing and a benefit. My point in all of this is it didn't happen all at once. It was, okay, first I changed my eating, and then I started walking at school, and then I got on with AJ, and then I decided to get up early and walk then. And then this summer I've decided, okay, because I'm not walking at school, I get up and I walk 2 miles every morning. So I've been doing 2 miles every morning when I get up during the summer. Sleep started happening in there where I was starting to guard my sleep. Even now, I've been starting to think about, okay, what's next? What's my next step? Where do I go now? Finding that thing, whatever it is, and starting to work toward it. My husband and I have decided, because I'm getting healthy, because I'm walking, because I'm able to do these things, we want to go walk. Have you ever heard of the Cotswold Way in England?
No.
It's like, I think 102 miles. That's our vacation next year. That's our goal.
And
We're
you'll be
going to
able
go
do
walk
it, right?
the Cotswold Way. And the people usually do it in 7 to 10 days. And we are hoping to be able to go to England and walk the Cotswold Way. And that's
Wow.
our vacation.
That's
And
fun.
we're excited about it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if you had told me a year ago that I was going to be excited about going and walking 102 miles on vacation, I would have looked at you like you were nuts. But I'm so excited. Healthy lifestyle changes so much. And the cool thing is, too, there will come a time when I will not be considered diabetic anymore. You know, it doesn't mean I won't always have to watch what I eat. But there will come a time when I'm not considered diabetic, when I am off of my medicines and don't need them, but taking my blood sugar every day, double checking, getting that A1C done every 3 months. I'm not always going to be on these medicines. I'm not always going to be needing this help, but at the moment I do. And it's been a good thing. Never would I have ever guessed that somebody telling me that I have diabetes was going to be one of the best things for my life. But it was.
Because of how you handled it.
Yeah.
And what you've done. I have a question about time. So in my life, you know, John and I, most mornings we walk every morning, right? And I used to do some weight training until I tore my ACL. And then I haven't been doing it because I don't have a personal trainer, but he still does. But a lot of times it's time. We're so scheduled. We have so many things. And you know, even taking the time, like we just filmed a video with some people in our greenhouse. I couldn't walk that day. There was not time. I couldn't fit it in. I've got to figure out a way to always make sure that I make that time. Any tips on how you're making that time? Because you're teaching, you're writing, you're still doing all these things.
It starts the night before. Really, when am I going to bed? That's where it starts. It's much easier in the summer to say, not a big deal if I'm not up at 7:30, which was my goal. Not a big deal, you know, because I might not have anything scheduled until, you know, I try to keep my mornings free for writing my novel. So that was a thing. But really, it starts with my nights. When am I going to bed? Because when I work at school, if I'm in bed by 11 o'clock, I can get up at 6. And it got to the point where it was just fast. I would literally, my alarm went off. I didn't look at my phone. I got up, I got dressed. I went and I took my blood sugar. I was out the door. Very quick. I mean, it was 10 to 15 minutes max from the time my alarm went off until I was literally walking. And 1 mile takes me about, depending on how my knee's doing, rarely does it take me 20 minutes. It's usually about 17 is where I'm walking. So I'm walking about 3.5 miles an hour most times. So, you know, when you think about it, 17 minutes isn't that much. Then I come back, I get a shower, I get dressed, I get ready. Steve packs lunches because I make sure they're all ready. So literally he just putting them in lunch boxes. So Steve packs lunches. I get my water bottle. That's another thing. I get my water bottle. I have a 40 ounce and it's currently downstairs, of course, because I drank it full this morning and I didn't fill it up at lunchtime. But I have a 40 ounce water bottle that I take with me everywhere. So I drink 2 of those a day. But, you know, so I'm there and I fill that up. Every morning is a protein shake for breakfast. That's my breakfast every morning. And you know what? It's okay. I love it because I literally can take it out the door with me and drink it in the 10 minutes I have before school starts. I love it. It's simple. It's fast. It's easy. And it makes it, honestly, it's like drinking a chocolate shake. Who wouldn't want to do that for breakfast every day? But, you know, it's the time, it just really made, you know, you have to figure out when you can do it. Like for me, I had to give myself time after school to get some things done before I go to the gym. And AJ says he cuts off at 6 o'clock. So I'm like, okay. So working my way back, 'cause that's how my mind works. If he's 6, then I have to be there by, okay. So if we were taking almost 2 hours, I have to be there by 4. And so that's the way we work it out. Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays during the school, well, even during summer, it's been 4. That's when I get to the gym, and that's when we work out. And it helps to have, even if you don't have a trainer, go get somebody to go with you. Because if you're meeting from different locations to get there, you've got accountability. If it's somebody from my own family and we both look at each other and go, I don't feel like it today. Yeah, I don't feel like it either. Okay. But if you got somebody from another location, it does help. And knowing that AJ is waiting there for me. There was one time I had said, hey, I'm not going to be able to be there. And I get this text, Karen, where are you? Or where, you're not here. And I'm like, oh, I did tell you, but it was like a week ago. He's like, oh yeah, I remember now. But he checks in on me. He's making sure that I'm there. When he's not there on those rare occasions, I do my workout and take a picture of myself and send it to him. And I say, hey, this is me at the end of my workout, all red and sweaty.
Good job. I think I knew.
That way he knows I've done it. You've got to find what works for you. For me, at this point, that means my husband has made some sacrifices. So like when our son was playing baseball, he was the one to take him to and from practice because I was at the gym. I needed to be at the gym. And so because of where I am, because of my health journey, he made that sacrifice for me so that I could be there. And then when I wasn't at the gym, or when I finished being at the gym, then if he had a baseball game, I would go to the baseball game and I'd watch the rest of it. But for this season, my health is more important. And Nathan knows I will get there when I can get there, because that's important to me too. But he has a little bit of take, or give, and I have a little bit of take, but then I also give after. So, you got to find where it works for you. And then on days when I only get one mile in the morning, then sometimes I'm like, okay, if it's not too hot, because I live in Southern Alabama near the Gulf Coast, if it's not too hot after dinner, I'll go for another mile walk if I only got 1 mile walk in earlier in the day. So, you got to figure out what works for you and what you can be consistent with.
And I think the real priority here is that we all recognize that our health is the priority, because without our health, we can't do much at all. And so maintaining that health, it just has to become one of the top of the list things, and maybe something else has to slide. But I totally agree. I've loved listening to this story, and I've loved listening to you as you figure this out. And it's the beauty of this whole preparedness thing. And you alluded to this earlier, one step leads to the next step. We have to take that first step. And then the next step just kind of goes, oh yeah, that's the next step. And there's the next step, and there's the next. And that's what I try and tell people is take the first step. If you take the first step, usually it will just snowball on itself. And that's what you've done in this journey. We are so proud of you. This is so awesome. And you have realized that your body is your priority for right now, at least. And it always should be. But sometimes we have to let some other things go in order to get back to where we need to be. So awesome.
All right. So I think we need to wrap this up, Karen. What advice do you have for our audience, if you could sum it up, and then tell our audience where they can find you?
My advice is never look at the whole picture. What is the next piece? There is always something. If you're like, I can't go weightlifting, totally fine. What can you do? Can you find 20 minutes in the middle of the day to go for a walk? Can you? Is there a place that you can do that? Can you get a walking video and walk in place doing different things? What can you do? Instead of looking at what you can't do, ask yourself what you can do. Can you get 8 hours of sleep a night, or at least 7? That will actually help you lose weight, and it will help your body. So that would be my big thing that I want to give everybody. Don't ask yourself, don't say, I can't do that. Say, what can I do? Because all of us, including me, have something else that we can do. So that would be my one takeaway that I would like everybody to walk away with. And then to find me, you can find me at Are You Prepared Mama? That's AREYOU preparedmama, MAMA.com. You can find my books on Amazon. You can search for A Year Without the Grocery Store by Karen Morris, or Mom on the Run, or Adaptive Prepping. So you can find all of those on Amazon. And I'm really not on a whole lot of other social media right now because there's so many other things going on in my life. So those are the two best places to find me.
Okay, and your new book that's coming up, before we turn on the camera, you read to us what it's about. Can we share that with our audience? Will you read
Absolutely.
it? Okay.
Absolutely. So it's called an elevator pitch. This is my elevator pitch for my novel, The Contenders. 100 years ago, a medical AI saved the world. Now she runs the resulting civilization. No hunger, no sickness, no homelessness, no unemployment. It's a utopia. Or is it? Rights are restricted. Calm is coerced. Dissension is silenced. Two worlds, inside the walls and outside the walls, are about to clash. Will the system prevail, or will a new order rise from its ashes?
I think that's awesome.
That's got me
cannot
excited to
wait
read.
it.
I am looking forward to having it out there. It's been a long time in the making.
Yeah, you are the best. I am so proud of you. Like, you're doing hard things, and it's going to make all the difference in your future. You are a great example for me. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, thank you for having me on and being an encouragement to me, because you guys always have been.
Oh,
You're
thank you.
awesome.
Thank you.
All right, and for our audience, for the question of the day, what are you doing to maintain your health and your strength? Comment below. And if you have any questions for Karen, because a lot of us can relate to this journey, right? Put them in the comments and we'll beg Karen to get in there and answer them for you. Hey guys, thanks for being part of the solution.